Susan was a fitful child.
She'd cried the moment she'd been born and hardly stopped crying for 6 months. When she finally did, the household seemed to awake as if from a dream, dazed at the fragile peace. Susan smiled at her nanny and giggled, and the house rejoiced.
But the reprieve didn't last long. A year later, Susan began to speak, and that's when the whining began. You see, Susan had heard stories of her older sister, Rhoda.
Rhoda had died, consumed by fire, in a mysterious case of spontaneous human combustion. Actually, that wasn't true, but everyone believed the ravings of the melodramatic footman who'd found her pile of burnt ashen bones. Their mother had consulted a spiritualist, Madame X, about the death. The medium had confirmed that Rhoda had spontaneously combusted due to being spoiled rotten on the inside. She just received too many privileges and possessions in her young life. Horrified and determined that her youngest daughter wouldn't impulsively ignite like her eldest, Susan's mother immediately began taking away her fine dresses and ponies and toys.
"You will not be spoilt," she ordered. "Baboo," Susan whined. "We have sold the ocelot to a circus passing through town. No pets, no sweets, no carousel rides, a minimum number of dresses, and no feathers in your hats. I will not have you light up like a firework. You will be a good, unspoilt girl." "Baboo!" Susan screamed, before dissolving into a kicking, screaming, fall-on-the-floor fit that resounded through the house.
Even the gardener out in his potting shed heard her and grunted, not again."
The butler, who had very sensitive ears, winced in pain.
Susan's tantrums became so frequent and loud that her parents traveled to their country house for some peace indefinitely. They left the girl in the care of her nanny and other servants. The housekeeper promptly gave Susan a white kitten and a plate full of bonbons and said, "You can have whatever you want as long as you shut that shrill mouth."
Thus, the house was blissfully quiet again. Susan got everything she wanted, just as Rhoda had. And the scullery maids whispered, "Oh no, we'll have to sweep her up when she explodes from being so spoiled. How unpleasant."
Once or twice the housekeeper tried to impose some rules on Susan. She took her to the orphanage down the street to meet those less fortunate. One meek boy, Titus, had asked Susan if she were a princess, which she liked. But ultimately, the visit to the wretched orphans did no good. The next time she was denied something, Susan screamed, and the housekeeper surrendered. You see, the good woman was married to the butler, and she knew how these tantrums agonized his tender ears. It was easier to spoil the child.
There was no such thing as spontaneous human combustion.
On Christmas Eve, Susan sat before the Christmas tree with her 3 cats. She wore a fancy frock, sucked on a peppermint lollipop, and had gifts strewn all around her. Santa had brought her a rocking horse, a dollhouse, a fur coat, earrings, ice skates, and so much more.
So she reached for another present that was wrapped in striped paper and plain twine. Something ticked inside. Interesting. This was the scene her parents saw when they arrived home unannounced.
"What is this?" her mother snapped. "Are her ears pierced? You have disobeyed me and put my daughter in danger of immolation." She pointed at the housekeeper and butler. "You are both terminated." The couple was ordered to pack their bags and leave the mansion immediately.
Without references.
Soon after, Susan was stripped of all her belongings and dressed in a plain dress. She was locked in an unused room to ponder her disobedience. It had no furniture in it except a large, dark ottoman.
Susan threw herself upon it and commenced to shriek at the top of her small lungs. She shrieked and screamed, then screamed and shrieked, but no one came. Her mother was determined her daughter would not be spoiled. And with the butler and housekeeper gone, no one in the house brought cakes or dolls to silence her. Had they given her cats to the circus? What had they done with her presents? Those things were hers. It wasn't fair. She screamed, before proceeding to have an epic fit. Truly, This tantrum would be spoken in hushed and cautionary tones for years to come. Why, you ask? Because 3 hours later, Susan perished of fits.
The end.
Susan, oh my gosh, be quiet. Calm down. It's too late, you're dead. I can't imagine anybody perishing of fits. So I would like to know if you have any opinions, any different story ideas about why Susan perished of fits. What is wrong with this girl? So tomorrow will be Titus. Kitty wants in just a second. Okay, T is for Titus. That is tomorrow. Cat. All right. So I am Rachel of Rachel Gets Creative. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. We're closing in to the end of the alphabet and to Halloween. So I want to say thank you very much, and I love you. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.